Hey, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Journey Beyond podcast. In today's episode, I will walk you through some real life principles that I have discovered in my own daily practices and along my own personal path. Furthermore, I would love to tap into the topic and into the importance of controlling your ego and how the way you feel is not necessarily based upon the external factors that are happening to you, but rather, and much rather, I would say, on the internal elements and thought processes that are keeping you stuck. The importance of reconnecting to yourself and challenging your own beliefs, reiterating your existence and your identity is one of the most crucial elements and parts in your human evolution. Life itself, if you look at it, everything around you is a constant reiteration cycle. It is constantly evolving. It is constantly dying to the old and rebirthing something new, something better, some part of that evolutionary process which is more than it has been before. So if we now look at the macro perspective, the seasons changing out in nature, we have winter and we have summer, we have major things happening, leaves dying, animals going into hibernation, collecting food, sleeping most of the time, and then being reborn when the spring comes out. When the first little knusps of the plants and of the trees are slowly breaking out. It's a constant reiteration process, and it's a constant dying to the old and rebirthing to the new. The same thing happens on a microscopic level. If you look at your cells, if you look at your skin tissue, if you look at every single part of your physical body, in and outside, what you can see and what you can't see, this as well, same as the season, same as the macro perspective, is constantly dying, constantly reiterating and becoming something new, something better, something greater. So now taking this example and taking, this perspective on life that we are obliged in our existence, in our time here to constantly reiterate and constantly, die to the old version of ourselves, it is really important to look and to see and to understand that this is a super essential part of your existence. You feeling like things are not moving forward. You feeling you're stuck in your mind, in your emotions, in your, family patterns, whatever it is in your life. You're stuck in this relationship. You're stuck in your job, right? If you get this feeling of stuck, that is your natural, your human instinct that is screaming out, change, reiterate. Move, become more, become bigger. Because same as the universe is constantly expanding. It's an infinitum expanding. So it's an ever expanding infiniteness. So if even the universe and it's in its infinite essence is constantly growing and constantly expanding, why do we think that we are the exception and are allowed to not change anything at all? If you're constantly doing the same things or the same daily methods and they are not serving you in your best case, they are keeping you dissatisfied, they're keeping you unhealthy, what makes you think that you have the permission to keep on doing those things and actually disrespect your personal growth and your personal path? I think along this way, what I'm trying to say, it's really important that we become more familiar with the concept of growth. That it's okay to become someone new, that it's okay that all of a sudden your friend circle and your family does not recognize you anymore because you've changed, because you're not the same old Tim anymore, because you're not the same person anymore that you're used to. It is okay as well if you, in your evolutionary process, in the process of you understanding who you truly are and discovering your authentic part, your authenticity, it is okay if your partner all of a sudden doesn't recognize you anymore and doesn't see you for the same person or the same version. This is your human potential. This is your human mission and goal on this planet. So if we are truly spiritual beings living a physical existence, our soul's mission is to grow and to grow alone. So some principles that I discovered in my life that I learned to translate into other areas that helped me a lot to break through this mental pattern of not wanting to change. When I was in university and I was studying my studies in social sciences, I was at a point in my life where I didn't have this extensive knowledge or this understanding or even this interest in wanting to change or wanting things to change in my life, right? So what did I do? I just thought I could repeat the same patterns, go through the same habits, and things would change. Inevitably, nothing will change as long as you don't change. Change is scary. Change is being able to embrace the unknown and being able to put faith and trust into things that you can't see and that you can't control yet. And this is scary. I get it. It's scary, and that's why most people, are not willing to take that extra step. They want to stay in the comfort. They want to stay in your own comfort zone. And a big part, which I want to tap into the second part here, that plays a major role in this happening over and over and over again, is the relationship between our ego in our mind. Because our ego in itself has the ability to constantly push us and hold us accountable for our own work. At the same time, it is the master of comfort. It is the master of repetitive action and, thinking, growing, being oblivious to other opinions other than what you think is right. Right? There are certain universal laws that everyone has to abide to, such as night and day, such as the seasons that are coming, such as the law of cause and effect, right? But if you think, because we humans are, on this planet, on this plane, we are God's highest form, of the universe's highest form of creation. That's why we think we are better than universe or better than nature in a lot of instances. We think that we are the exemption of the rule, right? We can decide who we want to be, and we just, decide that we want to stay the same. Why? Because we dominate everything on this planet. We dominate wildlife, we dominate nature, we dominate even the waters and the sky by now. So this ego that is already on this planet, the pinnacle of existence, thinks it has the right to choose and be God and say, no, I don't want to change. I can do whatever I want to because I have money, I have cars, I can destroy things, I can, rebirth things. So that's why I have the power to decide that I don't want to change. A lot of people live in this reality unconsciously, exactly in this thought of, no, I don't need to change. Why should I? I can decide who I want to be, and I want to be lazy. I want to eat junk food. I want to not take care of the things that are important and necessary for my growth. Why? Because I can. Because I'm a human. Getting back to the examples that I saw for myself, because there always needs to be a certain point in your life where you, don't want to move any further because you feel so uncomfortable, that you want to change so badly, but you don't know how. And you want to grow, let it be in your career, let it be in, your physical health, in the gym, let it be in your relationship. Something needs to happen and something needs to change, right? So one great thing that I learned that helped me push my mental barriers and become more, force change, is the very first time I learned about this was actually in the gym, because I'm a big gym goer. I've been going to the gym for the past 6-7 years. 2 years on a regular basis now, and really, really well, like really professionally. And I met this guy in the gym called Jean. And Jean is a Luxembourgish guy. He's 75-year-old. He's a 75-year-old man. He barely has no hair on his head, white hair. He looks like he's 75, but he is buff and ripped as hell. Like, this guy used to be a bodybuilding champion back in the 80s and has never stopped training for the last 52 years, which is absolutely insane. I've never met a person that has been training constantly for 52 years, ever, right? So Jean has taught me some principles because he comes from the golden era. The golden era where Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Arnold Schwarzenegger have been at the pinnacle of their peak performance, of their physical performance. One thing, because how you do anything is how you do everything, this principle is you can learn it in any area of your life and translate it to every other area in your life, in your spectrum of, change. Jean taught me that our body needs certain impulses to grow. Because every time we have a routine that we practice for too long, the impulses and the stimulation that our muscles receive will slowly decrease, and you will not see as much physical growth and change as you used to, because your body becomes into the state of constant, repetition, and there are no new stimuli, there are no new impulses that are forcing the muscle fiber to break and to rebuild again. So if you want to make big changes, significant changes in the gym, and again, watch the language that I'm using, because you can translate this upon your actual current situations, no matter what you do, is that try to force yourself to lift a little bit heavier than you're used to. Try to be a little tiny bit more on the weight side than you're used to, and you will see how all of a sudden your mind, kind of like pushes through the threshold that it has set for itself, the boundaries that it has set for itself, and pushes the limit and the ceiling a little bit higher. So for example, a year and a half ago, I started off at a solid 80 kilograms or 85 kilograms of bench pressing. Why? Because I just recovered from an injury that needed some attention, and I couldn't lift heavy, so I could only do repetitions and very little weight. I started off at 85 kilos, and it feels so hard if you're in your own mind and there is no external stimuli that are kind of pushing in to break that barrier, because you think 85 is everything that you can push. Your mind is such a beautiful mechanism or organism, because it enables you to, limit yourself through the mental perceptions that you give yourself. But when it comes to your actual potential, it is usually very far off from that. So what Jean told me is that next time you hit the gym, put 2.5 kilos more, 5 kilos more on both sides, 2.5 kilos, 5 kilos more in total, and increase to 90 kilos. Increase to 90 kilos and try to push it one time. I was like, that's quite a tough one, but I tried and I did it. I could do it once, I could do it twice. But he said, that's everything you need. Now your mind knows that you already pushed 90 kilos. And the next time you attempt it, you will see that it will be much, much easier. So the next time you try, you will probably reach 3 or 4 repetitions. And I was like, that's interesting. So I started building up this layer, this stack of weight that I kind of like correlated to my mind at that time, that was very stuck in a certain thought loop, and I needed to break free from that. I needed to become a little bit more and grow, get out of that shell. So what did I do? Over the course of 1.5 years, I have increased now constantly my weight on a monthly, 2-monthly basis, and I've went from 85 kilos to now lifting 135 kilos. So I've nearly, not doubled, but took more than 50% of what I was able to carry and implement it. And I was surprised, because I never thought I would lift these kind of weights. I would never thought that I lift the entire rack on the lat pull down, right? It's like the entire lat is 120 kilos. For most part of my 7 years, I used to pull down around 70 to 80 kilos. Now I'm at 180. I put on 100 kilos more that I can pull. Why? Because I constantly forced my mind to go a little bit further, try a little bit more. Most of the time, our perception of reality has been forced through our beliefs, our values, and our upbringing, and therefore is limiting our thought patterns and the way that what we perceive is possible for our own life. A lot of times, we don't know how to get out of that, because we only know what we know, right? We don't know what we don't know. Sometimes it just needs one person. It needs one video like this. It needs one episode where someone tells you that you can reach more. You just have to try and take a leap of faith and see how that is actually corresponding to your strength, to your power. And trust me, you will be surprised how much growth you can experience within a short period of time if you just try to push and try to become more than you were yesterday. So the gym has been my greatest friend and my greatest teacher on, topics that I translated into every area of my life right now. A second big example that I wanted to give you is actually 2 more, but one I think I will rather keep for a later podcast episode, because I think there's enough stuff for only for an entire episode to talk about that point. But my second realization, or the second principles that I discovered, or real life example that I've experienced for myself to experience this growth, was actually my first and second ayahuasca trip. Yes, I've always been a person that has been very open to the spiritual realm and to the possibilities of diving into the world of the unknown. And through a mentor and through a good friend a couple of years back, I was able, in a beautiful group of friends, to experience ayahuasca for the very first time, to experience the grandmother nature for the very first time. And it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes to an entirely new world. It was probably one of the scariest experiences that I've ever had, because it is literally surrendering and falling into the unknown, giving yourself up entirely to the grandmother, to Mother Nature, to do its work and to show you what you need to see. And throughout this process, I have realized that there is a point and there is a state that some people reach, some people don't reach. If you Google ayahuasca, you will see that there are different versions of a trip that you can experience, right? I'm not an expert, so I don't know all 4 of them. I will probably research them for the next episode. But the highest pinnacle form of the state that you can reach is called nada. Nada, as in the Spanish, it means nothing, is literally the surrendering to nothingness. You dying to your old self, being reborn and waking up as the phoenix in the ashes, rising out of the ashes and rediscovering your own self and your reality in a completely new way, in a new form. And this is exactly what happened to me. My very first ayahuasca experience, I experienced nothing. I was having the impression that I was going on a journey, on a trip, 1.5 hours after taking the medicine. And I became very sleepy. And I noted that, okay, maybe now something's happening, maybe nothing's happening. I don't really know what's going on. And the next thing I know, I woke up a couple of hours later and I couldn't open my eyes anymore. I couldn't open my eyes, and I felt that my body was lying in a fetus position, really like an embryo stuck in, and I couldn't feel my body. I could only feel the sensation of my shell being present, but not really being able to move any part of it. No motoric sensories or no motoric reflexes at all. And it was a super beautiful and intense realization, because in that state, I got to experience and I got to witness and become aware of my own beingness without being. I got to witness that there is something that is lying here on that floor that cannot move and that is just there. So I was, being in that state of awareness and just witnessing myself, how slowly, minute by minute went by, and I regained access to my motoric sensors. For example, the first thing that I started noticing is I started feeling a tingling in my small toe. So I started moving my small toe. I couldn't move anything but my small toe. Slowly, I could, feel the second toe and the third. I could start feeling my foot. Then I started feeling the small, tiny finger in my hand here, and bit by bit by bit, I regained conscious access to my body, and it literally felt like I had to learn how to move my hands again, how to open my eyes, how to sit up. And this feeling of being reborn, this feeling of dying to your old self. Because in that moment, I felt nothingness, and in the next moment, absolute bliss. A completely different feeling that I brought with me to that trip, to that retreat. So that process of dying is constantly happening. And the experience with the grandmother, ayahuasca, showed me that even your soul can take certain leaps to reiterate itself, to die to its old version. If you've been working towards that point where you feel super stuck and things have not been changing for a long time and you are running away from that change, your soul is getting ready to fire in any specific moments. That's why identity crises happen. That's why, the great awakening after depression, or people going on spiritual retreats, having the urge to travel, to just leave, drop everything and go. That is your soul who has been waiting and screaming and pushing in every direction to tell you, man, it is time to move. It is time to reiterate myself. It is time to be reborn. I want to expand. I want to be more. So that is another beautiful example how a principle that I discovered for myself, how, dying and the interpretation of your own reality has always a certain correlation, and you're always bound to grow and become something more. The last example that I found in my own life is the tasks that I do. Same as, the principles that I apply in the gym, I started applying to my daily routines. So do something uncomfortable every single day. Why that? Why would you do something uncomfortable? Some people at my work, they ask me from time to time, Tim, why do you take cold showers? Why do you take ice plunges? Why do you go into an ice cold lake at -degrees and jump in there? Are you insane? Maybe I am, yes. But maybe I am just too eager to grow and experience that, that feeling of I'm breaking through my threshold and my comfort zone. And that feeling that arrives after you break through your comfort zone, that first initial feeling of, oh, this is very cold and this is super uncomfortable, I don't want to be here. If you keep that state, which usually only lasts for a couple of minutes, if you get past that state, you will get to the realization that all of a sudden, you are in this state of bliss. Your body is activated. You are happy. You have a full release of dopamine, serotonin, and your entire body is just like, breathing. Why? Because it gets the chance to grow. That's why I go into the water. That's why I take saunas a couple of times a week. That's why I do the uncomfortable things first. That's why I, go towards uncomfortable conversations. I want to have them because I know that they bring the growth that my mind and my soul and my heart truly desires. So again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And the ego, as I mentioned in the beginning, is the sole proprietor of our happiness. A lot of times, like I said, your ego plays a major role in your willingness to do things. You in your state, lying in your bed, sitting in your car right now, you're thinking, well, why should I go to the sauna? Why should I take a cold plunge? Why should I take an ayahuasca retreat? I am good the way I am. There is nothing wrong with me. There is absolutely nothing wrong. I have a lot of friends. I go party a lot of time. I take trips twice a year. That is your ego talking. That is your ego talking. Literally, most of the conversations that we are having with ourselves is our ego talking, and our ego loves to have the comfort and to constantly do the same thing because it doesn't like change. Like your ego and the natural laws of the universe, they are two different forces that work separately from each other. But when getting a level of understanding of both and harmonizing both areas, both hemispheres, they are creating true harmony. So your ego can become usually your best friend and your worst enemy. Because the ego's goal is the twisting of the perception that inevitably will lead you to a deceptive state where you are living in the state of, I know it all, I have it all, I got it all, I don't need to change, my diet is okay, it's fine, look at my body, I have a six-pack, but I'm eating McDonald's every single day, I don't feel bad. Like, can't you see that I have, a more supreme body than you, for example? So why should I change? Why should I stop drinking? Yes, I work out, but I get drunk every single weekend, get shit-faced, and my liver, it's fine, right? I can't see it, but it's probably fine. Don't worry, right? So this is how a lot of times we get stuck. We fall into identity crisis after a long time because, again, your soul wants to move and to spread and to grow, but we're not giving it the opportunity to grow. And how you can work with this is very simply take the time and calm your mind. When your mind is silent and quiet, your ego has no room to be present. When you are truly with yourself, not thinking about the future or the past, which the future likes to impose on us a lot of times, there is no room for ego. If you are not constantly trying to, think about what you want to say in a conversation or on a podcast interview, and you just are in the moment and you listen, that's when the most beautiful conversations happen, because that's you, your soul, and your purest essence talking and listening and being aware of what's happening instead of just thinking about what you want to say in the next best moment. So calm your mind, friends. Calm your minds, calm your thoughts, take some time, do some breath work, some intensive breath work that hopefully I will get into, get the chance to talk to some interesting people along the way in the next couple of episodes that will, that are working in a professional way within that realm of, calming your minds, regulating your nervous system, creating more peace and harmony and happiness in your life, helping you to find and fulfill what you're here to do, right? So if you like today's episode, which again was longer than expected, but I guess you already know the vibe now after 13 episodes. You know that the journey beyond is more than just the ordinary. So I'm fine with longer episodes as long as you are. So if you took any value from today's episode and you think like you learned something, I would highly, highly, highly appreciate if you could go over to the review and feedback section of wherever you're listening to this right now and just leave me a little review. Just leave me a little subscribe. Subscribe to The Journey Beyond on Instagram and YouTube. Follow my journey for more inspirational content like this. And because this is what we're all about. We're here to journey the extraordinary, to find meaning beyond the ordinary life that we, assume that we have. So with this being said, if you like this, stay tuned because there's way, way more to come. And without further ado, with this being said, see you in the next one.